I've been talking to my father about selling the family business. Wait a second. Didn't you just take the reins of the company last year? That's true, but we know we can't stay competitive without investing in a lot of new equipment. I'm surprised you could convince your father to sell. He always seemed determined to hand down the company to the next generation. I haven't convinced him yet. He's insisting on a family meeting to discuss it. That sounds fair. You can plead your case in front of everyone. How did the family meeting go? Talking about selling something that's been in the family for 100 years really touched a nerve with the older generation. They must have a strong emotional attachment to the business. It's true, even after I explained why we can no longer compete, they still want to hang on to it. It sounds like you don't really want to run a failing business. Running a family business into the ground doesn't look good on a resume. I heard you put the business up for sale. I guess the majority of family members agreed with you. Sadly, the boat went along generational lines. I know how badly you wanted to build a consensus among the whole family. I was never gonna convince them all. Even after you explained all the pros and cons of selling Novus versus keeping the company. Yep, my uncles and aunts didn't want to hear anything negative I said about the business. They still think it's the greatest company in the world. So, how did the meeting with the potential buyer go? It went well, but the offer may cause a stir among some family members. Why is that? Was it too little money? No, the money is fine, but the buyer wants to close down the business and tear down the building. Well, you said it was a competitive market. What's the matter with building something new? I think seeing our company replaced with a coffee shop will feel too final for some members of the family. How did the family take it when you told them about the offer? I was pleasantly surprised. Most of them finally agreed after I broke it down for them. What did you say to finally convince them to go along with it? I told them that if they missed the old phrase, they could go to the coffee shop and sit by the window. That that's nice. They can remain reminisce over a cup of coffee. Plus, I told each of them how much money they were getting. The latest in a string of studies on toxins in chocolate found the high levels of lead and cadmium, heavy metals that are harmful to humans. In the study, researchers tested dark chocolate bars, cocoa powders, and chocolate bits to see if they meet the limit of heavy metal contamination according to California law. On the whole, the levels were not so high that the average person should worry about eating chocolates in moderation. One researcher said that you should only be worried if dark chocolates are a part of your daily routine. Some people are ready to retire at 65, while others never want to step aside from their role at work. Scientists have wondered what makes some people more reluctant to leave their fast-paced job even when they can no longer keep up or they become forgetful. This happens in all jobs at all levels. For instance, many professional athletes continue training until they eventually crash and burn. Instead of living while they were still effective players, they are remembered as the old guy who refused to retire. The simple reason of this phenomenon, according to researchers, is pride. Over the past decade, more kids are using smartphones in classroom. Some parents justify it as a way to keep tabs on their kids. However, more than 70% of teachers and school administrators surveyed think it is a hindrance to learning. Students spend time scrolling through social media and messaging each other during class. Among other things, because of this, schools have been to crack down on the use of phones in class, requiring students to store them in a locker or power them down when on school property. Many parents object to the ban and believe they should be able to contact their kids at any time. What do you think? Harvard Psychology began a study on loneliness in the early months of the pandemic in 2020. He knew the rate of loneliness among Americans had been climbing period to the crisis, so he expected the number to have skyrocketed. After sending out his survey, the results quickly came pouring in. Nearly 50% of respondents said they reached out to people but felt nobody reached out to them. More than one-third felt lonely on a regular basis, while a similar amount felt lonely occasionally. These feelings were most common among those ages 18 to 25. Since the end of the pandemic, the loneliness epidemic has persisted, although the numbers have slightly declined. Over the past 25 years, the number of people signing up for typing classes has declined. This has resulted in a large number of Gen Z who can't touch type. This seems strange for a generation glued to their electronic devices. One might expect them to be tech savvy. However, most communication among that age group is done on smaller screens using fewer fingers. There is a ray of hope, however, in what sounds like very bad news. Typing speed on smartphones have been increasing and are almost as fast as the average person's typing speed on a computer keyboard.